Hello everyone, it is Dylan from Yu-Gi-Oh! Everything, and welcome back to the second anime vs. manga character analysis. You guys voted and have picked Crow Hogan. Also, thank you to everyone who did vote. Over 200 people voted, which is just awesome. The next poll is up, so definitely check that out if you want, and vote if you would be so kind. Link is in the description. But anyways, let's get right to it. I really hope you guys enjoy. In the 5Ds anime, Crow is basically the third most important character, basically playing the role of a tritagonist after the Dark Signers arc, if that's even a term. Funny enough, Crow doesn't even debut in this show until episode 30, which for a character of his importance is an extremely late debut. He is introduced by stealing decks from a warehouse and then escaping from sector security. Crow very well could have been introduced this way, because the original plan for him was to become the final boss of the Dark Signers arc. Due to the popularity of Blackwings, the writers decided to give Crow a more prominent role, thus making him a signer when he dueled Godwin alongside Jack and Yusei. Sure, technically Leo was the sixth signer that made the 5Ds title incorrect, but realistically, it was Crow who was a late addition into the signer crew, even though he got his mark much earlier than Leo. In his early days, Crow grew up as an orphan alongside Jack and Yusei. Before 5Ds started, the three of them, along with Kiru, created a duel gang called the Enforcers. They cleaned up the streets by defeating other duel gangs and ended up defeating every duel gang in New Domino City. As we all know, Kiru became power-hungry, got arrested, and that was the end of the Enforcers. Crow later reunites with Yusei in the early 30s of 5Ds. His two biggest wins, in my opinion, was his win against Dark Signer Bomber and his win with Aki against Sherry at the end of the show. Both duels were must-wins for the sake of the world, and he came through in both situations. Crow, in my opinion, is a very underrated duelist, having only lost once in a one-on-one duel, and it was to this clown. Of course, Crow threw the duel, so realistically you can make the case that he never lost a one-on-one duel during the course of 5Ds, which is very impressive. A personality trait that is often associated with Crow is his selflessness, which is really shown with all the kids he takes care of. A lot of orphans in Satellite view Crow as a father figure almost, and Crow pretty much views them as his own children. An alternate version of Crow appears in Arc 5, and for the most part, his Arc 5 counterpart is extremely similar to his 5Ds character. Another fun fact is that Crow is the only character in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! To have never died in his debut show, but die in a different Yu-Gi-Oh! Show. The only one of the returning characters who can join Crow in this category is Jack Atlas, so we'll have to see what Arc 5 has in store for him. The reason I bring Crow's death up is because there's an old phrase that states when you are about to die, your life flashes before your eyes. The last thing Crow saw before he was carded? Tanner, Frank, and Amanda. 3 orphans that he took care of. I think that scene displays Crow's selflessness and caring personality more than anyone's words ever could. At the end of 5Ds, Crow decides to become a pro duelist and is prepared to challenge the king, Jack Atlas, for the dueling title. In the manga, Crow has an impact much sooner than he did in the anime. In the manga, the D1 Grand Prix is the main tournament that occurs. This is where Crow is introduced. Crow is impressed by Yusei's dueling and introduced himself, and the two immediately hit it off and became friends. Crow makes an impact immediately in the tournament by defeating Bolt Tanner in a classic one-turn kill. Crow makes it to the second round, which was more of a battle royal than anything else. For those that haven't read the manga, there's basically 12 gates in the second round. Each gate had a certain amount of star tickets correlating with the number gate, and you needed to collect a certain amount to move on to the third round. Crow duels Yusei at one of the gates and falls to him. It's here we find out that Crow actually has a younger brother named Yoshi, which is a manga-exclusive character. Crow decides to head to the 12th gate, where he ends up dueling a shadow version of himself. We don't see the end of this duel, but Crow assumingly barely pulls off a win against his dark self, winning enough star tickets and winning his dual dragon, Black Wing Dragon Black Feather. Crow plays a big role in saving everyone. He stalls Lazar, which allows Yusei to make his way to Aerial Fortress Sable. He defeats Lazar and frees everyone Lazar had carded. Crow is a dual priest in the manga, which is basically the manga version of a signer. After the world has been saved, Crow enters the second D1 Grand Prix for the chance to face off against Jack Atlas. However, he duels Aki off-page in the very first round, and he loses to her, thus ending his bid to be the Duel King in the manga. There are a few similarities between anime and manga Crow. One of them is that his personality is very similar. He is very friendly, but at the same time has a short fuse and can get frustrated pretty easily. This is shown many times throughout the anime, and it is especially shown in the manga during his exchanges with Leo. In the anime, Crow cares a lot about the orphans he takes care of, and in the manga, he cares a lot about his little brother. Whether it's the anime or the manga, if Yu-Gi-Oh had a designated big brother, it would be Crow. Finally, he dueled Lazar in the anime and in the manga as well, the only character he dueled in both. There are quite a few differences as well. Even though he has a drive for helping young kids in both adaptations, he does not have any siblings in the anime. Moreover, he doesn't care for any orphans in the manga, which is a staple of his character in the 5Ds anime and even in the Arc 5 anime. Crow is inarguably a better duelist in the anime. Having mentioned before his stellar 1v1 record, in the manga he has lost to Yusei and Aki. Not only has he dueled much less in the manga, but he has double the losses in those 1v1 duels than he did in the anime. Also, Crow was friends from a young age with Jack and Yusei. In the manga, Crow meets Yusei and becomes friends with him that way. You can make the case that Crow and Jack don't even really consider each other friends by the end of the manga, and that's more on Jack for having a much colder complexion. It's definitely weird seeing Crow and Jack go back and forth all the time in the anime, and them not even being friends in the manga. Crow uses Blackwing decks in both the anime and the manga. His ace in the anime is Black Feather Dragon, while his ace in the manga is Black Winged Dragon, Black Feather. Despite the slight name differences, they basically are the same card in terms of having 2800 attack and 1600 defense. The artwork of the cards is extremely similar. The only difference these dragons have are their effects. This monster also is the strongest card Crow has in his deck in terms of attack in both the anime and the manga. As mentioned earlier, him using Blackwings is maybe the only reason he has become such an iconic, heroic character in the Yu-Gi-Oh franchise. Crow is definitely a massive fan favorite among Yu-Gi-Oh fans, and I have to say, he is a character that I've never really resonated with. I've never been sure why, but Crow is just one of those characters in the franchise that everyone loves, and I'm kind of indifferent on. I have to say, I like his character in the manga better. I feel like him having a direct relative in terms of a sick younger brother make me able to relate to his goals more. He's fighting for a sick family member, which I think most people can relate to. Not saying I can't relate to him fighting for orphans and kids in the satellite, but I feel like I understand fighting for a direct family member more. I also find Crow to be more humorous in the manga. I think his fights with Leo are actually pretty hilarious. Also to me, you always knew Crow was going to lose when he dueled in those 3-on-3 duels during the WRGP arc of 5Ds. Same could be said for Jack, and that to me was kind of boring because you knew Yusei was going to be the one to win. The manga duels were a lot more unpredictable, and the fact that he lost to Yusei and Aki made him more vulnerable, which I think fits his character a lot better. He still had a lot of important wins against Lazar and his Dark Self, along with a great OTK against Bolt Tanner. I think the balance in his duels was almost perfect in the manga, so I personally prefer the manga version of Crow Hogan. Well, that about wraps it up, guys. I really hope you enjoyed. I cannot wait to hear your comments down below. Let me know if I forgot anything, and let me know who you like more, anime Crow or manga Crow. If you want to pick the next character, follow the link in the description and vote. The poll is open now and closes on November 1st. Anyway, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.